Hi, my name is Ben Wright, and I play second trumpet in the Boston Symphony. I've been second trumpet in the Boston Symphony since 2010, but I joined the Boston Symphony in 2002 as fourth trumpet. In the orchestra, we have 4 trumpets. I started music lessons quite young. I started the violin when I was 3 in a program called Suzuki Music. And so I played violin from when I was 3 until I was 10, and I'm not sure you could really say I played it very well. I don't think it really spoke to me, and I don't think I practiced very much. And those two things combined to make me actually a pretty poor violinist. So when I was 10, as the story goes, as my parents tell it, I'm not sure this is exactly how it went. They said that I tossed my violin in a trash can, don't do that, and told them I wanted a trumpet. So many people in my family have played the trumpet, and I'm actually the 5th generation trumpet player in my family. We actually found out after my grandmother died that she was sort of a secretive trumpet player. We found some recordings of her playing cornet solos with a community band when she was a kid. So that's pretty neat. This is a B-flat trumpet. In order to get a sound out of the trumpet, we have to make some noise into the mouthpiece. Generally what we do is we buzz our lips together. You put your lips together, and then imagine you're spitting a seed. And the lips vibrate together. That doesn't sound very good, right? So then we have to take that buzz and put it into the mouthpiece. Right? So that still sounds maybe not so great. It sounds kind of silly. But if you put it in the trumpet, it sounds a little better. Okay? So the different parts of the trumpet, we got the mouthpiece, and this is obviously the main part of the trumpet. You got the lead pipe, you have the tuning slide, and you have the all-important spit valve. That's what we call it, as a spit valve, because it's much easier to say spit valve than it is to say condensation valve. But in truth, it really is just condensation, because we don't drool into the trumpet, right? We don't just spit into the trumpet, because that would be gross. We blow air through the trumpet, and the air collects as condensation on the lead pipe. That comes down here, and we try to make sure we don't put it on our shoes or on other people's shoes. It goes directly on the floor. Okay, good. Now, we have valves, okay? We're gonna come back to these in a second and talk about care and use. This is the bell of the trumpet. So, you buzz into the mouthpiece, it travels through the trumpet and out the bell, okay? Think of this as like a loudspeaker, right? So, and some violists think of it as a very loud speaker because they sit in front of us. In order to oil your valves, you have to loosen these caps, okay? Loosen them in this position, because if you loosen them in the other position, you could end up with valves on the floor. Now, each one of these valves should be marked with a number. This is the first valve, because think of it as the valve that's closest to your face. First valve, second valve, third valve. So you just pull the valves out about halfway. So it looks about like that. Then you just set it in your lap, holding onto it all the time with one hand, and then with the other hand, you take your valve oil and you put some valve oil on it, okay? So when you get ready to put them back in, you just kind of rotate them a little bit, make sure the oil is worked in there. And they have to go in a certain way, because those holes you see in the valve stems are actually called ports. The ports have to line up with these slides. So this is the first valve slide, second valve slide, third valve slide. If the ports don't line up, then you can't blow air through the trumpet. An easy test is, before you screw them all in, blow air through the trumpet, and if it's like blowing into a wall, you know that the valves aren't aligned. So then you just screw them back in. And remember, or I shouldn't say remember, don't mess with the caps. These buttons, don't mess with the valve caps. You just want to unscrew this spot here, not here. The other thing to remember is if there's something that goes wrong with your trumpet and you don't know how to fix it, if it isn't a stuck valve, you don't know how to fix it, okay? So don't try to fix it on your own. just take it to your teacher and he or she will help you out. In order to play an instrument well, you got to practice it every day. So my day starts with a warm-up. Playing a musical instrument is like a very, very small athletic event, right? Because we have muscles that have to fire in a certain way and coordinate in a certain way to make sounds on the instrument. It's true with every musical instrument. Often you can't really see the muscles, so if I'm playing something really the only thing you see moving are my fingers, but there's a lot of coordination with the muscles in the face and the lungs and the arm and the fingers. So that exercise I just played is actually what I warm up with every day, but it doesn't have to be that fancy. It could just be long tones. Your focus, the first thing that you play, and really any time that you play any instrument, is to play with a pretty sound. Because if you don't play with a pretty sound, you know, what's the point, right? So you always want to try to play with a pretty sound, right? An exercise you might start your day with is long tones. So it might start like this. And you might continue all the way to the bottom notes of the instrument, which is all the way down at low G. And again, the whole time, we're just trying to make a pretty sound. When I was in 4th grade, I started playing the trumpet. And I was lucky enough to have a private instructor right from the beginning. But I know lots of people who started on their instrument and studied with their band or orchestra director. And I think the things that are most important about taking lessons are the same things that you would do in a regular class. So if your teacher says, okay, I want you to write this word in cursive, you write it in cursive, and maybe you practice writing in cursive. So if a trumpet teacher tells you you should take a big breath, practice taking a big breath. If you repeat things with good technique and with good breathing and with the things that your teachers tell you to do, then generally they get better. And a musical instrument is no different. It sometimes is hard to hear those things getting better, but I guarantee you, if you do what your teacher tells you to do, and you do it repeatedly, and you do it every day, you're gonna get better. So some things that you wanna have for lessons or for rehearsals, whether it's at school or if you're lucky enough, once again, to have private lessons, you want to make sure that you have all the music that your teacher has given you to prepare. You want to make sure that you have a pencil, and you want to make sure that you've done the assignments. Some things you could do for extra credit and to make it extra effective or to actually improve much quicker is if you have access to a cell phone or to any kind of a device where you can record. If you could record the lesson and then be able to listen back, it's really, really useful. But at the very least, you want to have a notebook and a pencil so you can take notes for any important points the teacher might make. So playing in an ensemble is like being on a team. So a team is only as good as its weakest member. The way to be a really good team member is to pay attention and to be ready and to listen around you, right? So you want to listen to the sounds that are being made around you, listen to the rhythm around you, and watch the conductor. So the conductor is in front of you to help you and to give you direction on where you're supposed to play the beats. So you want to follow your music director, and you want to listen around you as much as possible. I know it's really fun to play in an ensemble, and one of the things that can be fun is to kind of mess around, especially if you sit in the back. But don't do that. You want to keep that to a bare minimum. You want to like talk to your friends like kind of after rehearsal and really focus your attention on what you're supposed to be doing with the music. That was the Fanfare Al Blazon by Gottfried Reiche, and this is a piccolo trumpet. It's just one of the many trumpets that I own. I'm going to play on the B-flat trumpet next, which is what you'll be more used to. So this is my B-flat trumpet, and I started with a fanfare, which shows you what the trumpet was actually originally designed to do back in ancient Egypt. Now that we have valves and can do more things, I thought I'd play something that's a little bit more lyrical, more of a song. And this is actually a song from Donizetti's opera, The Elixir of Love.